Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited for you to be experiencing my friend Felicia Scott today. And as we take you through what I consider to be the most important process that I went through in my own journey back to finding my happy space again. So, today we're going to be talking about getting your happy back through for the act of forgiveness. So, we're going to go through that because I know it's really controversial, I know it's difficult. It was very difficult for me, and I just want you to know that I hold on with both hands to the concept of forgiveness. Because if I let it go, I go back down into that very dark and uncomfortable space, that stressful space that did all of those things to me and did nothing to my ex. So I'm going to be bringing, I want to tell you about my friend Felicia Scott. She is a coach. She has over 10 years of helping thousands of people change their lives by equipping those people with the tools to increase their emotional intelligence. She works a lot with corporations, but she also works with private individuals too. She was selected from over 1,000 speakers to become eWomen Network's first North America's next greatest speaker. She is touted as one of today's leading motivational speakers. I'm so excited that you guys get to hear her today. She is the certified empowerment coach, and she's a best-selling author of a book called Thrive. She designs, executes, and administers emotional intelligence-based coaching and training programs that teach people how to optimize their performance. So the reason that it was so important for me to bring her into this conversation was because she works on that emotional intelligence component, which is really gets us down into the process that we need to go through to the act of forgiveness. And so with that, I would like to introduce my dear friend, Coach Felicia Scott. Welcome, Felicia.
Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for our viewers today to be involved in this conversation because you and I have talked about this a number of times. This one's a tough one for me. This whole, in my head, for the longest time, I had this that forgiveness was about giving them a free pass or letting them say that it was okay. And that's not what it's about at all, is it?
No, forgiveness is definitely not about giving anyone a free pass. It's not about being a pushover. It's not about being walked on. It's not about being weak, because a lot of people see forgiveness as being weak. Really, forgiveness is a choice for yourself. Forgiveness is a choice to be free. It's a choice to live out your potential. It's a choice to be the absolute best that you can be. That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a gift that you give to yourself.
Do you guys understand now why I'm so excited about that for you? Because this is absolutely the way it was for me. It was a gift to myself. So, Felicia, on that note, I'm going to say, take this away. Take us down this path.
Okay? Well, we're going to take the path of forgiving and moving towards freedom. Hold on one quick second. There you go. You know, a lot of times when we're in a state of unforgiveness, we don't realize what we're losing, because it's almost like it's a real mind trip, because we really feel like we're doing something to the other person. You know, that you're being angry with them. You're withholding your love from that person, and we feel like we're doing something to them, and really the person that we're hurting the most is ourselves. And so today we want to talk about how do we forgive and make that move towards freedom. And I love the visual that's on this slide, because really forgiving is letting in the light. Forgiveness is opening the door to new possibilities. Forgiveness is moving from the past into your future. Briefly, before I even go into this slide, I want to tell you a little bit about me. And the thing about my life that I think everybody has a story, everybody has a testimony. And the thing that I want people to know when they meet me is that I am a survivor, an overcomer of a 7-year depression. And that 7-year depression, it changed me in so many ways. I can never find the right word to describe depression to someone, but it's really like living in a hole that it's a dark black hole that you feel like you're continually falling. And even though you feel like you've hit bottom, something in you believes there's still more you can go. There's still farther to fall. And for me, part of my depression had a lot to do with holding unforgiveness and bitterness in my heart. And so I really understand how important it is to move towards freedom by forgiving. And the first way that you can do that, the first thing you need to understand is you need to discover your value. You have worth, you have value. Discover your value. On the slide it says that value is the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, the worth, the usefulness of something. You have to understand that you are really a unique gift to this world. There's nobody like you. There never will be anybody else like you again. There's never been anyone like you in history. And you are meant to show up in this world in a great way, and you're meant to do great things in big and small ways. And the trip and the trick of unforgiveness is that it wants to stop you from discovering your value. And the way that you discover your value is you have to do the work. You need a strategy for forgiving. You need a strategy for your healing. You need a strategy for moving forward. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Oh,
I always joke,
this,
because when I work, yes,
Felicia, yes, can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Oh, okay. What I was going to interject was that doing the work was, you know, I actually needed a coach to help me through this, which is why I'm so grateful to have this conversation, because doing the work is pivotal in your success in all of this. It's not going to come without you making some very conscious decisions, right?
That's right.
So,
It's like when you do the work, I always tell my clients, if everybody could have a body like, Beyonce, we all would. But it's work. If we could all, have the
that's
talent
true.
of certain celebrities, we all would. But it's a lot of work, and they may make it look easy in some ways, but it's a lot of work. And being the best you, showing up in this world at your highest potential, giving the best of yourself to the world and the best of yourself to yourself, it's going to require work. And that's where a lot of people lose it. We'll get all hyped up about the value part, but that work part, because the work part, listen, if anybody tells you that forgiveness is easy, they're lying to you. They are lying to you, and they have a bridge in Brooklyn they want to sell you. Forgiveness is hard work, but it's not impossible. But it's hard work, but you've got to do the work. And when you do the work, you can define and discover your wealth. I love this slide because I respond to words. I believe that words have incredible, immense power. Maya Angelou once said, she said that words are living things. She said they get in your clothes, they get in your furniture, and they get into things and they take life. And that's why she was very careful about the words that she allowed in her environment. And I love these words: relaxing, home, friendships, career, sports, travel. I urge everyone to identify the key words that they can connect with that inspire passion in their own lives. But you want to be able to discover your worth, do the work, and define your wealth. And wealth is, we live in a world where everything is just kind of sometimes focused on what's in your bank account. But real, true wealth is living the life that you want to live. If that means you live, on a farm in the Midwest and you have 12 kids and you make your own food and farm, if that's where your soul connects, if that's what makes you happy, then you're wealthy. And for someone else, it could be a condo in Miami Beach. Wealth is different things for different people, but it's finding out what wealth is to you. Being close to family, having good health, a rewarding career. It's finding out what makes life worth living for you. And forgiveness is freedom for your soul. The hardest part about forgiveness is that you are being asked to give to someone who has already violently taken something from you. And so it feels like, why should I give them the gift of my forgiveness. Why should I let them in my life again? And that's one thing I want to stop and point out. Forgiveness is not forgetting. And I grew up hearing this thing, forgive and forget, forgive and forget, forgive and forget. And you know what? Instinctively, there's something in us that knows it's really not as simple as forgive and forget. It is forgive, notice, and then you make the necessary adjustments. And so what that may mean is you may be able to forgive someone, but they can't be part of your life again. You may forgive someone, but you have to put some distance in the relationship. And then there are times where you can forgive and things are better than they ever were before. But forgiveness is freedom for your soul, and forgiveness is truly understanding that they can never pay you back. The way I always see it is this. It's like if I mean, all of us have had at some point or another to borrow something from someone, be it, a car, a money, something. But when someone lends you, gives you what you need in the moment you need it most, even if you pay it back, you haven't really paid it back. So, Vicki, if I were to borrow $20 from you, and I mean I had nothing in this world, and I needed $20 to have a meal, if you lent me that $20 and then I gave it back to you, I'm giving you back the money, but I am not giving you back what that money meant to me in the moment I needed it most in my life. And so when you forgive someone, it really is, they owe you something. They do. They hurt you. They were wrong. I'm not one of those people that believe that, you can't say somebody was wrong. No, they were wrong. They transgressed against you, and they can never pay that debt back. And what you're doing when you forgive is you're saying, you know what? Debt paid. You don't owe it. I let it go. I release it. Because you understand that seeking to have that person pay it back for the rest of your life, it's keeping you in prison.
That's such a great visual. So, and you taught me this, that, and this actually probably even still, because this was after I actually went on my own journey, learning from you that I could look at it as an IOU that I rip up.
That's
It
right.
doesn't mean that he didn't take the money from me. It didn't mean anything. It means that it's not worth the pain and the pressure in my own life to keep that IOU in place.
Right. And the reality is they can't pay it back. They may truly be apologetic. They may truly be sorry. And again, relationships can be restored and made even better. But in that moment, that pain, in a sense, the only person that can make that right is you. And that's powerful. And that's what we really need to understand when we're in situations where we're trying to forgive someone, is the only person who can make it right is you. You're the only person who can make it right, because they can apologize, but if they apologize and you don't accept the apology, or they apologize but you don't do the work of releasing your soul, you're still stuck. And so the only person that can give yourself that gift is you. Forgiveness is an act of grace, and grace is getting something you simply don't deserve. And I always try to focus on where grace has saved me in my life. I'm not perfect. I have an impressive bio, I think, but that's me telling you the best about me. That's me telling you my mountaintop highs. Nobody really likes to share where they've been in the valley. Nobody really likes to share their worst moments. But I've had some pretty horrible moments in my life, and I've done some things that, if I could undo them, I would. And people have had grace with me. People have put up with my shortcomings. I've hurt people. I've done wrong. I've hurt myself. So forgiveness is an act of grace, and I believe in sowing that seed of grace, because I believe that, and I know eventually in my life, at some point in time, I'm going to offend somebody, I'm going to hurt somebody, I'm going to do something wrong, and I'm going to want the harvest of the grace that I've sown to be given back to me so that I can move forward. Forgiveness is your decision to be released from the effects of the offense. We can allow something that happened in 5 minutes to affect us for 50 years. It took 5 minutes for someone to just say something, totally cruel, totally outlandish, totally insensitive to how you feel. And for 50 years, we can allow that thing to just, become a weight in the middle of our heart. It's your decision that, you know what, I'm not going to let the past move into my future. I'm going to let the past stay behind me. I'm going to learn what I can learn from that moment, but I choose to move forward. That's what forgiveness is. And forgiveness is about healing. And healing is one of my favorite words. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper. It's about healing because something has been broken. It has been broken in you, and it needs to be fixed. And so I want to talk about the word healing. And I love to talk about this word because when I dealt with depression, as I was coming out of my depression, um, I did 7 things that I didn't even know. I didn't know I was doing these things, um, but I was doing them. And over time, and believe me, I didn't wake up one morning from a 7-year depression and be like, hey, life is great. I'm empowered. I love who I am. I always say that depression is like being in a room filled with smoke. If you're in a room filled with smoke, when you leave that room, the smell of the room is still on you. And so if you've dealt with depression, or you've dealt with being low for a long time, even when you decide to move forward, even when you are moving forward in your life, even when your emotions are in a different place, it's about moving your mind, and it's a conscious decision to move your mind into a different place. And so I'm going to give you 7 strategies for healing. Um, H, and we're going to, it's acrostic I use for the word healing. H is help while you're hurting. You know, when you help someone while you're hurting, you are reminding yourself that you are full of power. You are reminding yourself that you are not a victim. You are reminding yourself of the strength that you have. You are reminding yourself of every single battle that you've been through and you've won. I was listening to a story one time, and they were talking about men going into battle, and they were training. I can't remember the exact context of it. They were training men who were going into battle, and they said, when you go to fight, don't fight the person who has scars. Why don't you fight the person who has scars? Because that means they've been wounded and they survived it, and they lived to tell the story, and they lived to fight another day. And so your wounds, your scars, they're just a testament to how strong you really are. So help while you're hurting, because you're reminding yourself that I am an answer. You are an answer. You are a solution. You are a solution to some problem in this world. And so when you're going through a process where you need healing, when you're dealing with unforgiveness, help someone in the area that you're hurting in. Now, that may seem like kind of like, okay, that's crazy. I can't do that. It's impossible. Yes, you can do it, because you have to remind yourself of your strength. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky when you're helping while you're hurting, is you have to realize the point where you can help again. Because some of us rush to help and we never deal with our hurt. So it's not rushing to help and not dealing with your hurt, because that's really denial. And don't be confused. Forgiveness is not denial. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's facing what really happened to you. So you don't want to just rush to helping someone and you just don't deal with what's going on with you. But it's facing what's going on with you. And even while you're limping, you put someone else's hand around your shoulder and you limp towards the goal together. The E in the word healing is enjoy life's process. Life is a process. And, we live in this microwave society. It's like we don't want to be on hold. We want the, quantum bandwidth for our internet.
We don't want to wait for our food.
No, exactly.
Right?
Definitely we don't want to wait for our food. We just want everything quick, fast, and in a hurry. And our world is, I think about it. Like I used to I remember like I had to do a book report for school years ago, and I'd have to coordinate to get to the library and actually go pull out books. And now if you have a smartphone, research is at your fingertips. You know what I mean? You don't have to go anywhere. You pull the books on your Kindle and do things. And so we live in a world that is very, very driven by things being fast. And here's the thing, healing and forgiveness, it's not fast. It's not fast. And so we have to learn the value of a process. A process works things out of you as it builds things into you. So we have to learn how to enjoy life's process, understanding that your process is tailor-made for you. Life is not off the rack. Life is not cookie cutter. It's tailor-made for you. It's tailor-made for making you into who you need to be for the person that you're called to be to serve in this world. And so, you have a road to travel, Vicky. I have a road to travel. You have a process you have to go through. I have a process that I have to go through. And one of the biggest things that we do to ourselves is we sit there and we look and we're like, well, look, that's not Vicky's process. And I'm sitting there looking at your journey, looking at what you're going through, looking at what you have. And when you do that, you're living life from a perspective of lack, not from a perspective of abundance. And I always say this, your grass can be greener if you water it. Remember that movie, The Grass is Greener? Yeah,
Oh
the
my
grass
gosh,
is greener
true.
on the side. But your grass can be greener if you water it. Stop standing there looking at your neighbor's grass saying how green it is. Get up, pull out the hose, and water your own grass because your grass really can be greener. And so it gets greener by enjoying your life's process. It gets greener by accepting and anticipating change. Change is going to happen whether you like it or not. If we sit on this conference call, if we sit on this line for an entire year, everyone will be a year older. And in that year of being older, some things are going to sag, some things are going to fall, some things are going to hurt more than they used to. I am 43 years old, and I don't know when it happened, but getting out of my car just doesn't feel like it used to feel 10 years ago.
Tell me about it. You're
You know,
preaching to the choir.
I can't, when I drop a piece of paper now, I have to think, do I really want to pick it up? But then there was at 18, I drop it, I pick it up, but that's not the same thing. It's change, and it's change that I have to accept. I'm getting older now. I can anticipate that this change is happening, and I can work with it, and there are things I can do to age more gracefully, to age more healthfully. I can exercise. I can eat right. I can, stretch. I can do Pilates. I can do different things. But I am going to get older. And so in life, things are going to change. And no matter how much you say, don't change, don't change, don't change, don't change, it's going to change. And you're frustrating yourself, and you're creating more pressure. You're creating more depression. You're creating more of a funk. You're creating more dismay and despair because you're just not accepting and anticipating the changes that are coming into your life. And I say anticipate change. I always use this example. Every woman has had a day where she wakes up and she is just hot. Like you just look good. You look better. You don't even have on your makeup yet, and you just look good that day. And when that day happens, you get dressed with a confidence. You walk with a confidence. You interact with people with a confidence that it's just you're a magnet. And anticipation is a magnet. And what you anticipate, you will attract. So if you anticipate negative, you're going to attract negative. If you anticipate losers coming your way, you're going to attract losers coming your way. But if you anticipate great things happening, if you anticipate opportunity, if you anticipate great friendships and great relationships, believe me when I tell you, you'll be a magnet and you will attract the right things to you. The L in the word healing is let go. And letting go can be so hard. But you have to let go, and you can let go when you realize you are not losing, you are making room. I always say Kenny Rogers was one of the greatest philosophers of our time because you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You have to know your seasons in life. And sometimes there are seasons in life where it's a season of letting go. It's a season of making room. And it can feel very much like you're losing. It can feel very much like, if I let this go, nothing better is ever going to come. But that's not true. It's like being in the dressing room or being in a great store and you're standing there and there's this outfit and you just know that if you got your hands on this outfit, when you put it on, you would be fantastic. You would look great. And there's somebody who's got the last size. That's your size. You're a size 10. They're holding the last size 10 and they're standing there trying to make a decision about whether or not they even want to try it on. And if they would just put it down and get out of the way, you would have like the hottest outfit. And sometimes in life, the things that you're playing around with, the relationships that you're holding on to, if you would just let them go, you're opening the door for someone else to have what's right for them. And as you do that, the door opens for you to have what's right for you. And so you're not losing, you're making room. And you're letting go, because winners never quit, but winners do know when to let things go. And there comes a point in time in certain relationships and in life where what's being lost, the biggest thing being lost is not the relationship, is you're losing part of your soul. You're losing part of who you are. And so part of forgiveness is learning when to let go. Learning that, hey, I'm losing more of me. I'm losing my hope. This thing is, unforgiveness is like a cancer. And cancer spreads, and it rots everything and destroys everything it comes in contact with. And so unforgiveness in your life can be a cancer that spreads from the person you're divorcing and to the person that could love you wholly and love you fully, because you haven't let go of the experience you had in the past. The next thing is itemize your issues and your images. Listen, everybody has issues. Do you have issues? If you have issues, say yes, yes. I'm going to say it. Yes, yes, because I have issues. Everybody has issues. Barack Obama has issues. The people that we think are so wonderful, so fabulous, so great, everybody in this world has issues. And so the thing in life is not to be ashamed of the fact that you have issues. It's just to work on your issues. That's it. Work on your issues and know what your issues are. Because when you know what your issues are, you know when they are at play. There's nothing like, dealing with people who don't realize who they are. They don't realize that they have issues in certain areas of life. And so, listen, here's one way to find out where you have an issue. If you keep repeating the same relationship, if you keep having the same experience but with different people, if you keep running into the same problems at work even though it's different jobs, there is a common denominator in all of those equations. And guess what that denominator is? It's you. And so there are issues that you are bringing to the table. Doesn't make you completely at fault, but it does mean you have to work on your issues, because when you change, things around you change. And that's just a fact of the matter. You can't change people, but you can change you. And when you change you, people will interact with you differently. They will respond to you differently. Life will respond to you differently. So you want to itemize your issues and your images. What are your images? Listen, I grew up in a big family. I have 5 brothers and I have 5 sisters. And, it can become quite easy to just kind of classify people. This is the smart one. This is the skinny one. This is the funny one. This is the, blank one, that one, blah, blah, blah. And we like labels because labels make life easier for us. And so you have to know what your images are. You have to know a label that's been put on you that's not really you, but you've accepted it. You have to know when you're playing at who people think you are, because life is not about playing at who people think you are. Life is about being who you really are. And that's a fight and that's a struggle. One of the hardest and easiest things to be in life is yourself. And so you want to itemize your issues and images, and you want to navigate your needs. I want you to say this. Say, don't eat the fruitcake. Don't eat the fruitcake. Let me tell you about the fruitcake. When I was about 20-something years old, just starting out in my career, right out of college, had my own place, and someone gave me fruitcake for Christmas one year. Now, you may like fruitcake, and if you do, I'm not judging you. I'm not picking on your taste, etc. But I personally do not understand the purpose of fruitcake. I think fruitcake came into being because somebody had a lot of things left, so they threw them all together, and it became what we call fruitcake and give it for Christmas.
I so agree with you. I agree with you. What? Where did those things come from? Okay, I will be quiet. I'm sorry, but you just tickled me.
Oh, put this all together. Why would you even? And so someone gave me fruitcake, and I was very, grateful for the thought, for the gift. And so I took my fruitcake and I stuck it in the back of my fridge, and that was it. And it sat there for months. But then there just came a point in time, again, I was young, starting out, and money ran a little bit low. And so groceries were not as abundant as they were, they used to be. And I got hungry. And when I got hungry, really hungry, I went to my fridge, and there wasn't much to move around, but I moved things around, and guess what I reached for, Vicki? What I reached for? the fruitcake.
Fruitcake.
Don't go for the fruitcake. Because in life, if you let yourself get hungry enough, you will tolerate things, eat things, deal with things, work with things, live with things that absolutely make you sick. And you will tolerate it, work with it, and live with it simply because you've allowed your needs to overcome you. Now you say, how do I, but their needs, their needs. We all have needs. But the thing about needs is that when you deal with your needs in isolation, it makes it a lot easier for you to become someone's victim or to become a victim or to make decisions that are not in your best interest or to make decisions that you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did a never. What's a never? A never is a thing that when you're in a good place, you say, I would never do that. I would never cheat on this. I would never lie about that. I would never steal this. I would never take that. Because you're in a good place, you can say never. But if you let things get out of control, you find yourself in a never. And so you want to navigate your needs by being in community. You want to navigate your needs by being open, being transparent, being in the right relationships, doing things like what you're doing right now, being a part of this call. That's how you navigate your needs. And G, you want to grow with gratitude and grow through grieving. Growing with gratitude is there's always something to be grateful for. And it kind of ties back into helping while you're hurting. When you grow with gratitude, it's sometimes you just have to find that one thing every day that you're grateful for. I mean, even if it's you have a beat up car, but it cranked up in the morning and it got you to work, and you cranked it up after work and it got you home. Be grateful for that. Like, I mean, sometimes we just have to take the small things in life and choose to just be grateful for them. But when we're grateful, our mind shifts from a scarcity mentality to an abundance mentality. And when you live your life from an abundance mentality, you are able to be so creative and so resourceful in your approach to life and in your approach to things. When you live from an abundance mentality, you're not afraid of other people succeeding and being blessed. You don't feel like they're taking something from you. You're happy for them. You can congratulate them because you realize that just like they did it, just like they have it, just like they have a great relationship after a divorce, the same thing can happen for you and to you. And the foundation, the framework that you can create, that you can choose to build your life on is growing with gratitude. So every day this week, I invite you, I encourage you, find the one or two things that you're grateful for. They may be big, they may be small, but in the morning, focus on that thing and just be grateful. Just be grateful for it. And if you can, make it something, like I said, if you have a car that, it's 20 years old, and no, it's not the latest model Mercedes-Benz that you love to drive, but it's getting you where you need to go, be grateful for it. And the other thing is grow through grieving. I used to have this saying, and my saying was, pain is a strong woman's medicine. Meaning that, pain makes strong women stronger. And that is true in a sense, but I've also learned the power of grieving. A lot of times we're stuck and we can't move forward simply because we haven't grieved. We haven't allowed ourselves to acknowledge how much we've been hurt. We haven't allowed ourselves to acknowledge how much we miss the person, we miss the relationship, we miss what we once had. And sometimes well-meaning family and friends, they tell you stuff like, well, you could have done better anyway. And you know what? Deep in your heart, you could have done better, you deserve better, but that doesn't change the fact that you loved the person. It doesn't change the fact that you saw a future that is now not happening. It doesn't change the fact that you thought it would be different. And so even though maybe, you could do better, you deserve better, you still have to grieve what you've lost. And in life, sometimes people want to rush you through the grieving process because it's more comfortable for them. Because we live in this age where we just want to, again, it's fast and fix it. Fast and fix it. If there's a problem, you want to buy a book to fix it. Or we want to hear the tape that's going to fix it. Or we want to buy the pill that's going to fix it. And sometimes it's not a tape or book or a pill. It's just time. And us doing our work and us doing the hard part that's going to cause healing. But it's going to take time. And so we have to grow through grieving. We have to cry about what we've lost. Because when things happen to us and we don't grieve them, I call it, it's like a time clock being frozen. And have you ever had a moment, Vicky, where you're like, you're the age that you are, but you're feeling like you're 20 again?
Oh,
And I don't
I
mean 20 in the good, energetic way, but I mean 20 like in the unequipped, immature, silly way, so to
Oh,
speak.
oh yes. Okay, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Yes, absolutely. All the time.
Exactly. And
Sadly and sadly and
it,
yet not so sadly.
and I'm going to tell you something. When you have those moments where, if there's like a chronic moments in your life where you don't feel up to the task, like you just feel like you don't even feel like a woman, okay? When it comes to that, you feel like a kid again. Believe me when I tell you, if you stop and break apart that moment and evaluate it, at some point in time, something in you was frozen. And again, not in the good Disney way, but in a negative sense. And it got frozen because when it happened, you didn't grieve it. And so you didn't grieve it, and so a part of you was frozen in that moment. And then you keep living, and then another big thing happened that you didn't grieve, but you keep on living. And then another thing happens that you didn't grieve. And all of a sudden you're 45 years old, but there are areas in your life where you respond like you're 15 or 20, 25, and again, not in the positive way. But if you go back to those moments, trust me when I tell you, you're going to find that there was something you didn't address, you didn't face, and you didn't grieve. And what happens is, even though you're moving forward in life, pieces of you are being left behind in your past. And everybody has their day of reckoning. Everybody has that moment where that 15-year-old girl, whatever happened to her, wherever she got frozen, it's gonna come a moment where she's gonna wake up and she's gonna need to grieve. And you're gonna need to comfort her, and you're going to need to address what's going on with her so that she can grow up and be integrated into who you currently are. And so there are just moments in all of our lives where we've gotten frozen and we feel like we're behind. And part of doing the work is facing those moments, grieving those moments, admitting what we've lost in those moments, and not being afraid to face them. And so we want to help while we're hurting. We want to enjoy life's process, accept and anticipate change. We want to let go. We want to itemize our issues and images. We want to navigate our needs, and we want to grow with gratitude and grow through grieving. Now, science, because some people are like, well, listen, this all sounds all yoo-hoo, woo-hoo. And, some people just like facts. So I want to give you the facts. Studies, medical studies, psychological studies show that people who harbor unforgiveness think with less clarity, have decreased blood flow. Unforgiveness actually decreases your body's physical capacity to eliminate waste. And that's like a spiritual and a physical parallel. Because unforgiveness, in a spiritual sense, it stops you from releasing waste and getting rid of things that you don't need anymore in your life so that you can be healthy and move forward. The same thing happens in your body. It's like it slows down your digestive system. 80% of our health is in our digestive system. 80%. 80% of our health is in our gut. And unforgiveness impacts that 80% of our life. Come on, 80%, that's huge. Again, and the first bullet point is that you think with less clarity. So you're in unforgiveness and you're making, I'm going to say, not so smart or not the best decisions. You're actually almost incapable of making the best decision possible because you're thinking with less clarity because there's a decreased blood flow in the vital organs of your body. Science shows that is one of the impacts of unforgiveness. Forgiveness does have a memory. We don't forget it, we release it. It's there, but we choose to let it go. It's there, but we choose to decide the role that it's going to play. In authoring your story and taking control of your life, you get to decide what every single character in your life story means. You get to decide if it's going to be a major role player or are you going to put it in a subplot. You get to make that decision. And so forgiveness has a memory, and we don't forget things, but we choose to release it. And going back to grief, grief has a purpose. It's not popular. People don't want to face it. People don't want to deal with it. And, people will tell you, like, well, shouldn't you be over that already? You know what? You know. That's one of the primary principles of coaching, is that you're the expert on you. You know when you've been in a place too long. You may not want to admit it to anybody, but you instinctively know it. And if you know that you're in a place and you've been there for far too long, get the help that you need. Raise your hand and tell someone, I'm drowning, I need help. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to do this. I cannot do this alone. But grief has a purpose, and you don't want to short-circuit the process of grief, because if you short-circuit grief, you are short-circuiting healing, because grief is a part of the healing process. Another thing that's important is, as you move forward, is you want to do your work, not somebody else's. And that goes back to itemizing your issues in images. You can't fix other people. You can only fix yourself. And a lot of times we're stuck and we're struggling because we're trying to fix somebody else, and we're not turning things inward and working on ourselves. You have to know your issues and your images, because you need to know where you end and where others begin. One of my favorite analogies for this is like, everybody has the girlfriend who's always giving you her purse. You might be that girlfriend, but I have a girlfriend, my sister, in fact, she's always giving me her purse. So if we go out to a party or we go out somewhere, it's like, here, can you hold my bag? And so I have to go to the bathroom, can you hold my bag? And so she goes to the bathroom, and I'm holding her bag. And a half an hour later, she's out of the bathroom, walking around, socializing, talking to people, having a great time. And guess who's still holding her bag? And so in life, sometimes people have you holding their bag. And that's not right, that's not fair, and it's time for you to give it back. You're carrying other people's stuff. You're carrying other people's problems. You're carrying other people's dysfunctions. You're trying to fix other people. It's not yours. You do your work, not theirs. Let them be grown. Let them grow up and handle their own things. And the only way you're going to know if it's their stuff, not your stuff, is you've learned how to itemize your issues and images. And finding your tribe, finding the people who can love you through your good, your bad, and your very, very ugly is important. Because no matter the endeavor, no matter what we're facing, no matter what we're trying to achieve, be it personal, practical, business, anything, we have to do it in community. Because there are gifts, talents, resources, strengths, and other people that we need to become the best of who we are. And those same things exist and abide in you, and others need you to become the best of who they are. So I invite you to take your journey towards forgiveness. Forgive and move forward. Forgive and move into your freedom. Forgive and move into your full potential. Understanding and knowing that this is not about anybody else. The primary person that you're loving, that you're serving, that you're giving to when you forgive is you are giving to yourself. Because you deserve to be free. You deserve to show up in your full potential. You deserve to show up in your full light. And let me also say this. I deserve to live in a world where you are showing up in your full light. I deserve to live in a world where you haven't dummied yourself down to fit into someone else's box. I deserve to live in a world where you are loving like only you can love, despite the pain, despite the hell that you've been through. And so it's a process. It's not easy. It's work, but it's not impossible. And believe me when I tell you that you are bigger than the moment that you find yourself in. You are bigger than the pain that is sitting on your heart right now. You are bigger than the anger that sometimes seems to want to overwhelm you. You are stronger than you think you are. You are bigger than this moment. And it is time for you to make the decision. And forgiveness is a decision. It's not about emotions. Decide first, emotions follow. Decide first, and emotions will follow. It may take time, but it's about your decision to live your best life possible and to move forward in freedom. And
Oh,
I
wow.
can help you on your journey in any way. Please reach out to me at coachfelicia.com. I would love to answer any questions you have. I do, as Vicki stated, I do one-on-one coaching. I would love to be part of your process and part of your journey because I know that when you live your best life and show up in your best life, I know that I'll be blessed, Vicki will be blessed, and everyone else in this world will be blessed by the gift that you are. Thank you so much.
Oh, Felicia, that was amazing. And, you know, I am a a collector, and you'll find them on our Facebook page. You'll find them on my personal page. I put them on my Twitter. And that last one, decide first and emotions will follow, is absolutely so key. It's about, you know, that gets me back to my favorite quote, which was, you know, what you focus on in your life will grow larger. And this deciding first and your emotions will follow is the same way. When you decide that you want to go down this path, and you have to continue to, for at least for me, I have to continue to decide to stay on that path of forgiveness. You've made it easier for me with the IOU. I actually did that. I have a little pad. It's sitting right next to me. It's what I just wrote down your quote on. The when we talked about this the last time, when we were talking about how forgiveness is an IOU, I actually did the work of creating my own little IOU, and this might be an exercise that other people want to do too. Create that IOU, and then I ripped it up and put it in the garbage. And it was amazingly freeing for me. So thank you so much, Felicia. I'm so glad that you are at coachfelicia.com. Felicia, we have a private Facebook page, and I would love it if from time to time you would even go on our Facebook page and just comment on people's uh, questions and pains and anything that you feel that you can lend some assistance on. That would be awesome if you could do that and be a part of our tribe and helping our tribe move past, because you've done that today with this, because this was really and truly just amazing. So thank you so much for being here. I want to remind everybody that this and all of the other recordings from this forgiveness series is available to you in our membership area, as well as some other stuff. Felicia, I have been doing some amazing webinars with some amazing people on just incredible topics. One of which I did. We've got stuff on communication. We've got one called "Better Not Bitter." How your divorce could be the best thing that ever happened to you, and so much more. And we are adding to it each and every week. We are adding. My goal is to add between 3 and 4 of these webinars each week, so that you can grow, so that you can release, so that you can become better, so that this divorce that is yours, this moment of grief in your life, does not define you, but only makes you better. So Felicia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone that attended, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.